Welcome to Stories for Sleep, a place where gentle stories are told to help the mind slow down the body, relax, and sleep arrive naturally. Tonight we will step into a very soothing journey called The Most Relaxing Facts About Animal Minds to help you sleep. For a very long time, humans believed that thoughts, memories, and emotions belonged only to us. But science today is slowly revealing something different, that the creatures around us also have inner worlds of their own, capable of remembering, learning, bonding, and even feeling. When we listen to stories about the minds of animals with a slow and open heart, we may begin to sense a very gentle connection with the living world around us. Stories for Sleep was created to bring you stories like these, slow, deep, and peaceful, helping you relax before sleep. If you find this content comforting, you can subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us through the quiet nights ahead. And now take a soft breath, relax your body. We will begin opening the door into the inner world of animals. Have you ever wondered when night falls and everything grows quiet, how the creatures around us experience the world? For a very long time, humans believed that thought, memory, and emotion belonged only to us. We looked into the eyes of a dog, a cat, a bird perched on a branch, and assumed that behind those eyes was only instinct. But modern science is slowly revealing another picture, gentler, deeper, and far more surprising. The truth is, the animal world is not silent as we once imagined. Within it are memories that last for years, strong social bonds, subtle emotions, and sometimes even creativity. Some species can recognize human faces long after seeing them. Some comfort one another in grief. Some play simply for joy. And when we begin to see the world in this way, a very soft feeling arises, the sense that we are not living alone in silence, but within a living network of other minds. From Carl Jung's perspective, human beings always carry within them an unconscious connection to nature. A deep part of us recognizes the life around us, senses presence, rhythm, and awareness in other beings, even if we cannot fully name it. Perhaps that is why simply sitting quietly beside an animal can make us feel calmer, as if a silent understanding is taking place. In this video, we will take a very slow, very gentle journey to explore the minds and inner worlds of animals. Not to analyze intensely, but to listen, observe, and feel. When we understand that the creatures around us also carry memories, emotions, and their own ways of seeing the world, we may begin to feel a softer connection to life itself. And within that connection, the mind gradually becomes quiet. The thoughts of the day begin to settle. You are not just listening to a story about animals. You are stepping into a peaceful space where the living world around you feels closer and more comforting than ever before. Let this journey carry you deeper, slower, and gently follow along into the next part. Part 1. Opening the inner world of animals. As night slowly falls and the outside world grows quieter, a special space begins to open within the mind. A space for listening, for gentle reflection, and for stories told slowly like a soft, flowing stream. Tonight, we will not rush toward anything grand. We will simply take very light steps into a world that feels both familiar and mysterious, the inner world of the creatures living around us. It is a gentle journey, quiet and unhurried, not requiring full understanding, only feeling. For a very long time in human history, we believed that thought, memory, and emotion belonged only to us. Humans stood apart from the rest of nature, as if intelligence were a flame lit only in the human mind. The animals around us were seen as bodies moving by instinct, as living beings that did not truly feel. But slowly, as science observed, listened, and patiently learned, another picture began to appear softer, deeper, and much closer. It turns out that in the eyes of a dog looking at its owner, there is memory. In the call of a dolphin, there is recognition. In the way an elephant stands quietly beside a fallen companion, there is something that resembles sorrow. These discoveries did not come all at once. They appeared slowly, like stars revealing themselves as night deepens. And when we begin to look at the animal world differently, we realize that around us there is not only life, but other minds present, sensing, remembering, and connecting in their own ways. From Jung's perspective, humans have never truly been separate from nature. Deep within the unconscious, we still carry memories from distant times, when we lived close to forests, waters, and other living beings. Perhaps that is why sometimes simply watching an animal resting quietly can soften something within us. Not because we understand it, but because a deep part of us recognizes the presence of another life existing alongside our own. As we begin to explore animal minds, we are not only learning about them, we are learning to see the world with greater gentleness. We begin to realize that intelligence does not only live in complex thoughts, but also in the way a bird remembers its path home, the way a cat recognizes a familiar voice, or the way elephants stay connected through deep, low sounds that travel through the earth. Modern research has slowly revealed that many species have deep memory. They can recognize faces after many years. They can recall past experiences, learn from them, and change their behavior. Some species even show creativity, finding new ways to solve problems, playing with objects out of curiosity, or cooperating in complex situations. These discoveries do not need to overwhelm us. They only need to make us pause for a moment and feel that the world may be richer than we once believed. And perhaps, what makes this story so soothing is that we no longer see animals as distant creatures. We begin to notice something familiar in them. A trace of memory, a hint of emotion, a sense of connection. Not exactly like humans, but enough to remind us that we live among a vast community of living beings, each sensing the world in their own way. Within that realization, a gentle feeling appears. The world is not as silent as we once thought. Every forest, every ocean, every field is full of movements shaped by memory and feeling. There are creatures remembering, creatures learning, creatures seeking closeness and safety just as humans do. And as you listen to this story at night, you do not need to think too much. Simply let the images pass slowly. Imagine a dog recognizing a familiar voice, a flock of birds following paths remembered year after year, an elephant standing quietly beside a place filled with memory. All of it unfolds softly, naturally. The rhythm of this story is the same. No rush, no pressure, just gentle observations, one at a time. And as we listen to the inner world of animals with an open mind, a quiet peace may begin to grow. Because if the world around us is filled with beings who remember, feel, and connect, then the world becomes warmer. You do not need to understand every scientific detail. You do not need to remember species names or complex studies. Simply feel that there are other eyes seeing the world, other minds existing, and all of us are sharing the same wide, quiet space. As you lie here now, perhaps somewhere outside there is an animal curling into sleep, a bird tucking its head beneath its wing, a cat breathing slowly near a window. Each of these beings has its own story, its own way of feeling, and all of them are entering the stillness of the night. This thought does not make us feel distant. It brings us closer to the world, as if we are resting within a living network where every creature is quietly existing, sensing, and resting in its own way. And perhaps just thinking of this is enough for the mind to slow down. The thoughts of the day begin to dissolve. Your breath becomes steadier. Your body grows a little heavier. Because when we see the world with gentleness, the world begins to feel gentler toward us. This is only the first door opening. A very soft doorway leading into a journey of exploring the intelligence and emotions of other species. But right now, you do not need to go any further. Simply remain in this quiet feeling and let your mind drift slowly, as if watching the living world with a soft, warm, peaceful gaze. And as you remain in this quiet space a little longer, you may begin to sense more clearly the presence of life around you. Not through sight, but through a gentle and warm feeling, the sense that you are not alone in this journey of existence. Somewhere out there in the soft darkness of night, there are creatures sleeping, dreaming, or quietly awake in their own way. A dog may shift slightly at a familiar sound. A group of small birds may sleep close together for warmth. A fish beneath deep water may still be swimming slowly in its silent world. Each being carries its own rhythm, its own memories, and perhaps an inner world we have never fully understood. From Jung's perspective, humans are not separate from the rest of nature. In the deepest layers of the mind, we still carry ancient traces, memories of forests, of water, of living alongside other beings. Perhaps that is why sometimes simply seeing an animal sleeping peacefully can calm us in a way we cannot explain. It is a quiet empathy, as if a part of our unconscious recognizes a familiar rhythm. When we think about animal minds, we do not need to imagine anything too complex. Just know that each creature has its own way of remembering, learning, recognizing what is familiar, and seeking safety. A cat may remember where it was once gently touched. A bird may remember a journey across thousands of miles. An elephant may remember a companion lost long ago. These memories are not loud. They exist quietly, like human memories, resting somewhere deep, waiting for a gentle moment to return. And as your mind drifts with these images, a soft feeling begins to spread, as if you are slowly letting go of the thoughts of the day. No more rushing, no more tension. Only a simple awareness the world is full of living beings, and each one is learning, feeling, and finding its way in its own way. Perhaps somewhere far away, a dolphin is calling to another through the dark water. In a deep forest, an owl is quietly watching. Somewhere closer, a dog is sleeping soundly, moving slightly as if dreaming. Those dreams, though we do not know their content, may be part of the inner world they carry. This thought brings a special kind of peace, because when we realize that countless other minds exist around us, the world no longer feels too vast or too cold. Instead, it begins to feel like a shared space where all life is breathing, resting, and moving through the night together toward a new morning. And as the story slows, you may notice that your own breathing is becoming steadier, your shoulders softer, your body a little heavier, as if gently sinking into rest. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to try. Just remain in the feeling that you are lying within a living, gentle world. A world where other creatures are also sleeping, resting, and quietly existing just like you. And in that stillness, the mind grows calmer, lighter. And slowly, very slowly, you may begin to drift deeper into relaxation, as if supported by the soft rhythm of nature around you. Part 2. Subtle senses and the ability to recognize humans. As night gently falls and every sound becomes softer, we begin to sense the world in a different way, not only through thought, but through feeling. In that quietness, it becomes easy to imagine that somewhere around us, other creatures are also listening, observing, and sensing human beings in their own way. And if we look deeply into this, we may realize that the connection between humans and animals is not simply coexistence, but a quiet meeting between minds. For a long time, humans believed that understanding and awareness belonged only to us. But modern science, along with everyday experience, is slowly revealing something gentler many animals can recognize. Humans not only by appearance, but by emotion, voice, scent, and memory. From Jung's perspective, this suggests a deep idea that between living beings, there may be an invisible layer of connection, where instinct, feeling, and the unconscious meet without words. A dog can sense when you are sad even if you say nothing. It comes closer, lies beside you, or simply watches you quietly. Studies show that dogs can detect tiny changes in human scent when we are stressed, afraid, or happy. For them, emotions are not abstract. They are real signals carried in the air, in breath, in heartbeat. This makes us pause for a moment. Perhaps before humans learned to speak with language, our ancestors once communicated through these subtle signals. A look, a movement, a shift in breathing. And animals in some way have kept the ability to read these ancient signs. Horses, for example, can sense the tension of a person standing near them. Someone anxious may make them cautious. Someone calm may make them trust more easily. Cats can recognize familiar voices, even without seeing their owners. Elephants can remember people who treated them kindly years before. Dolphins may respond differently to each person they meet, as if recognizing a unique presence. All of this does not require complicated explanation. Simply imagine that each creature observes the world using everything. It has scent, sound, movement, rhythm. And humans, even without realizing it, are constantly sending signals that animals can read naturally. From Jung's view, this is like a conversation taking place deep in the unconscious. A place where emotion does not need words, where presence alone can create connection. When an animal looks into your eyes, it may not understand your thoughts, but it senses your state. And sometimes you may feel something in its gaze too, calmness, trust, or simply a very real presence. There are stories of animals recognizing their owners after many years apart. They remember voices, footsteps, familiar scents. Their memories are not like human memories, but they are deep enough to preserve important bonds. This shows that for many species, humans are not just passing images. We become part of their remembered world. And as you think about this in the quiet of night, a warm feeling may begin to spread. Perhaps throughout your life, more creatures have noticed and remembered you than you realize. A dog that once ran to you when you called. A cat that lay beside you while you rested. A bird that returned to the place where you fed it. These small connections, though you may have forgotten them, may still live quietly in the memory of those beings. The bond between humans and animals is not built through logic. It is built through repetition, through safety, through presence. A hand offered many times, a familiar voice, a habit repeated day after day. Slowly trust forms, and when trust appears, a deep connection begins to grow. Perhaps that is why being near a gentle animal can make us feel at ease. Not because they do anything extraordinary, but because their presence is real simple and without judgment. They do not care who you are in the outside world. They only sense who you are in this moment, calm or tense, gentle or hurried. And when we realize that animals can sense humans so deeply, we begin to realize something else. Perhaps we are sensing them too in a similar way. A calm feeling when we see an animal sleeping. A quiet joy when we watch them move freely. A sense of familiarity in a familiar sound. In this moment, as you listen in the stillness of night, you can imagine that somewhere out there, other beings are living, sensing, remembering the world in their own way. And perhaps at some point they too have sensed your presence. That thought does not make us feel small. It brings a gentle sense of connection, that we are not living alone in this world. That between humans and other creatures, there has always been an invisible thread woven from memory, feeling, and trust. As the story slows, you may notice your body relaxing more, your breath growing steadier, the thoughts of the day settling down. And in that quiet, it becomes easy to imagine that the world around you is resting as well. Animals sleeping, other minds pausing, memories lying still. And you too can allow yourself to rest in the same way. Just relax. Let everything drift softly. Because deep in nature, every living being knows how to pause, how to rest, and how to return to peace. And as you continue listening, you may begin to notice something very subtle. The presence of animals in human life is not only coincidence. From very ancient times, when humans lived closer to nature, we learned to read signals from the living world around us. Birds singing signaled the morning. Movements of herds signaled changes in weather. Small sounds in the night could mean safety or warning. Over time, even though modern life has slowly separated us from forests, fields, and oceans, a part of the human mind still remembers how to sense that living world. That may be why many people feel calm hearing a cat's soft sound, the steady breathing of a sleeping dog, or distant birds outside the window in the early morning. These sounds touch a very ancient place in the soul, a place where humans once lived in harmony with other creatures. Carl Jung once spoke of archetypal images living deep within the human mind, collective memories carried through generations. Perhaps among them are images of the animals that have always been beside us, companions who do not speak with words, yet are always present. The image of an animal lying beside a human, resting together, breathing slowly together, may be one of the oldest symbols of safety. When you think about that, tension may soften just a little, because at some level the connection between humans and animals does not need to be fully understood. It only needs to be felt. A gentle touch, a quiet gaze, a moment of stillness shared. Perhaps you have experienced an animal looking into your eyes for a long time as if trying to understand something. That moment is often very still. No words, no strong movement, just two living beings recognizing each other's presence. And in that moment, the boundary between human and nature feels softer. Recognition does not come only from animals. Humans also learn to sense them. We can tell when an animal is afraid, when it is happy, or when it simply wants to be alone. No language is needed, yet understanding is there. This shows that between species there exists a deep form of communication, one based on emotion and intuition. In the busy rhythm of the day, we rarely notice these small things. But at night, when everything slows, the mind becomes quieter. And in that quiet, we can feel the world around us more clearly. We can sense that life does not exist only in humans, but spreads everywhere, in every creature, every movement, every breath. You can imagine that somewhere outside, animals are also drifting into sleep. A dog curling up, a cat finding warmth, birds resting silently on branches. Each creature has its own rhythm, yet all move toward the same place, rest. That thought brings a gentle comfort. Night is not only for humans, it is for the whole world. For all living beings slowing down, breathing more softly, letting go. And you can do the same. Just feel your breath, slower, softer. Imagine yourself in a quiet world where every creature is resting, where there is no hurry, no tension, only the gentle presence of life surrounding you in a soft and peaceful way. In that space, you do not need to do anything more. You do not need to think any further. Just allow yourself to be there, to feel, and to slowly drift into a deeper state of rest. Like every other living being on this planet, you also deserve to rest. And in this moment, you are doing exactly that, very slowly, very gently, and very peacefully. Part 3. Memory, recognition, and identity. In the gentle stillness of the evening, as the mind begins to slow and the thoughts of the day gradually drift away, this may be the right moment for us to step into a deeper story. A story about memory, about recognition, and about the feeling of who we are in this world. When speaking of memory and identity, humans often think of them as something uniquely our own, as if the ability to recall the past, recognize familiar faces, or be aware of oneself were gifts reserved only for us. But science, in its quiet patience, has slowly revealed a softer truth in the animal world. Memory exists, recognition exists, and somewhere a very distinct sense of identity is also forming and being preserved. Imagine beneath the deep blue waters of the ocean, where light only reaches faintly, there are very special sounds echoing through the vastness. These sounds are not random signals. Dolphins call to one another using distinct tones, as if each individual carries a name of its own, a unique sound created and remembered so that others can recognize them. This means that in their world, each being is not just part of a group, but an individual who is known, who is remembered. When we think about this, a strange sense of closeness may arise, because being called by name, being recognized, being remembered, is a deeply human need. And at some deeper level, perhaps this kind of recognition is not something new. It may be something ancient in the history of life, something that existed long before humans appeared. Crows, chimpanzees, and elephants living in large communities also carry long and lasting memories. They remember faces. They remember relationships. They remember who once helped them, who once threatened them, who belongs to their group. These memories do not last only for days or weeks. In some cases, they last for years, even a lifetime. This memory is not simply a survival mechanism. It is the foundation of connection. When an elephant encounters another individual it once lived with years ago, it may show clear signs of recognition, as if a piece of the past has quietly returned. From Carl Jung's perspective, memory is not merely a collection of scattered images from the past, but deep layers of the mind where experiences are stored and slowly shape the sense of self. If this is true for humans, then in some way when animals remember one another, when they recognize each other, they too are preserving pieces of an inner world that belongs to them. One of the most remarkable moments science has recorded is when certain animals look into a mirror and recognize themselves. Not all species can do this, but chimpanzees, elephants, dolphins, and some birds can pause before their reflection, observe it, and slowly understand that it is not another being, it is themselves. That moment is very quiet. There are no words, no explanation, just a living being standing before its own image and somehow realizing that it exists as a separate individual. It is a simple form of self-awareness, yet deeply meaningful. And when we think about this, we may feel a gentle sense of connection. That awareness of self, the feeling of who we are, may not be something that suddenly appeared only in humans. It may have begun in very small ancient steps and still exists in many forms throughout the natural world. Social memory is also an important part of life for many species. An animal does not only remember its environment, its food sources, or its shelter. It remembers relationships. It remembers who belongs to the group, who can be trusted, who needs protection. These memories create community. A herd of elephants does not walk together by instinct alone. They bond over time, through traveling together, through protecting one another, through sharing loss. Memory becomes the thread that ties individuals together. And when you think about this, you may notice that humans are not so different. We are shaped by memory, by familiar faces, by voices we have heard, by the times we were called by name, by the times we were remembered. Identity in some way is not only what we think about ourselves, but also how others remember us. Perhaps that is why connection brings such a strong sense of safety. Because where there is memory, where there is recognition, we know we are not alone. In the animal world, this happens naturally and quietly. There are no philosophical concepts, no complex language, but there is still recognition, still remembrance, still bonds that endure through time. As night gently settles, you can imagine that somewhere out there, animals are sleeping beside familiar companions. An elephant resting near its herd, birds gathered close together on a branch, a dog lying beside the person it has remembered all its life. Those memories, those bonds are still there, quiet, enduring. And as you lie down, you carry your own memories with you. Familiar faces, voices you have heard, feelings you have experienced. All of them are a part of you. There is no need to think of them too much. Just know they are there, gentle, quiet, like layers of sediment resting deep within the mind. Those memories grow softer. Let them settle. And as your body relaxes, as your breath becomes slow and steady, you may feel a gentle sense of safety. A feeling that you belong in this world, that you are remembered, and that, like every other living being, you can rest in that quiet peace. And as we continue listening to this story in the stillness of the evening, you may begin to notice that memory is not only a function of the brain, but also an invisible thread connecting living beings. A dolphin calling its companion across the vast ocean, a crow remembering the face of someone who once fed it, an elephant recognizing a familiar call after many years apart, all are signs of an inner world quietly at work. These memories are not loud. They do not need to be spoken, but they exist steady and enduring like deep currents beneath the surface of the sea. Some things are kept not because they are necessary, but because they have become part of who one is. When an animal recognizes itself in a mirror, it is not just a simple reaction. It is a quiet, personal moment, a moment when existence becomes clear, not through language, but through feeling, through a gaze, through a gentle pause, as if something is being understood. In the human world, we often think of ourselves through stories, memories, and roles. But in the natural world, identity may be simpler. It may be a familiar scent, a distinct sound, a presence recognized even without being seen. An animal does not need to say, "This is who I am," yet it is still recognized. It still holds a place within its group. It still has relationships formed over time, and those things create a quiet, deep kind of identity. Social memory helps animal communities survive across generations. An old elephant leads the herd along paths it has known since youth. A flock of birds returns to the same place each season. Chimpanzees pass on ways of finding food to the young. Each memory is kept not only for one individual but for the whole community. And when we think about this, a soft warmth may arise. That memory is not only something from the past, it is what keeps the world connected. It helps living beings find one another, recognize one another, and remain together. Perhaps that is why familiarity brings a sense of safety. A familiar voice, a familiar face, a familiar sound in a quiet space. The brain, whether human or animal, seems to find peace in what it has known before. And right now as you listen, your body is remembering too. Remembering the slow rhythm of your breath. Remembering the warmth of the place where you lie. Remembering the quiet spreading through the room. There is no need to think. Just allow yourself to drift along these gentle streams of memory. Like a group of dolphins swimming together through dark water, calling to one another with familiar sounds. Like an old elephant walking slowly along a path it has known its whole life. Everything is being remembered, and within that remembering there is a deep sense of belonging. You belong here too. You are surrounded by the gentle layers of your own memories. And in that stillness you can slowly loosen your grip, allowing the mind to drift slower and slower still. Part 4. Language communication and the expression of meaning. As the night grows quiet and the sounds around us soften, this may be a perfect moment to reflect on something very familiar, yet also very wondrous: the ability to communicate. Humans have long believed that language was our special gift, that only we could name the world, share thoughts, and express emotions through words. But when we listen to nature slowly and gently, we begin to realize that the living world around us is also whispering, exchanging, telling its own stories in very different ways. A parrot can understand words, even create new sounds to express what it wants. A bee returns to the hive and dances in a precise rhythm to show where flowers can be found. Dolphins, whales, bats, dogs, monkeys all have their own structured sounds, rhythms, and patterns. They are not just making noise. They are sharing information, emotions, and presence. And perhaps if we look a little deeper, we will see that communication is not only sound. It can be a look, a gesture, a pause, a breath, a subtle change in how one being moves, stops, or comes closer to another. Carl Jung believed that there are deeper layers of communication beyond words' invisible currents connecting minds. When we observe animals, we begin to sense this more clearly. A dog does not need to understand every word, yet it can feel whether your voice is sad or joyful. A cat senses the quiet in a room and chooses to lie near you. A horse reads the tension in the body of the person beside it. At the deepest level, communication may not be about speaking at all. It may simply be about being felt. In the deep ocean, whales sing songs that last for hours. No one fully understands their meaning, yet they are repeated, changed, and carried across great distances. Like a slow melody spreading through water, carrying messages only their kind fully understands. In the darkness of night, bats send out sound and listen for its return to find their way. In forests, monkeys call to one another with different sounds to warn, to find, to stay connected. Inside the small space of a beehive, a tiny dance can guide the entire colony to a new source of life. Each species has its own language, but all share one thing: the desire to connect. And that is something very beautiful. When we think about communication this way, we begin to realize that the world is not silent at all. It is full of calls, signals, and sounds, slowly moving through space. We just do not always understand them. But perhaps understanding is not always necessary. Sometimes simply feeling is enough. A bee dancing is not just showing direction, it is sharing. A parrot repeating sounds is not just imitating, it is trying to belong to the world around it. A dolphin making sounds is not only navigating, it is calling, seeking, connecting. Language, then, is not only speech, it is presence. And when we begin to see the world with this gentleness, we realize that humans also communicate in many ways without words. A hug, a look, sitting quietly beside someone. Sometimes these speak more than thousands of sentences. In the quietest moments, we can feel the presence of others without them saying anything. And perhaps animals feel the world this way too, through subtle rhythms, through quiet awareness. Jung spoke of parts of the human mind that communicate through symbols, images, and emotions. And if this is true for us, perhaps it is also true for many other living beings. A world where communication does not have to be perfect or clear, only enough for beings to feel that they are not alone. As you lie here listening, your body is also communicating. Your heartbeat slows, your breath grows steady, your muscles soften. This is a quiet language the body uses to tell itself that everything is safe. No need to speak, no need to explain, just relax. Somewhere outside, perhaps a bird is singing softly. A cat is stepping lightly through the dark. Insects are creating tiny sounds in the night. All of it is part of the great symphony of life, and you are inside it. You do not need to understand every sound. Just let yourself drift within the feeling of being surrounded by these gentle signals. The world is speaking to itself, and in this quiet moment you are listening too, not with your ears, but with the relaxation spreading through your body. Let that slow rhythm carry you a little further, a little slower, a little quieter. And if we continue listening even deeper, we may realize that communication in nature is not only about sharing information, but also about maintaining connection. Birds flying in formation are not only saving energy, but keeping rhythm with one another. Fish swimming close together are not only protecting themselves, but sensing the presence of their community. These small rhythms create a kind of silent language, where no words are needed, yet everything is understood. A gentle touch, a step closer, a pause. These actions carry meaning like unspoken sentences. From Jung's perspective, humans also carry these deep layers of communication. There are feelings we cannot name, yet we sense them. Connections we cannot explain, yet we know they exist. And when we observe animals, we see that this is not unique to us. It is something ancient within life itself. Perhaps long before language existed, life communicated through feeling, through rhythm, through presence. The earliest beings may not have had words, yet they found each other, responded to each other, and lived together. Today, surrounded by so many sounds and so many words, we sometimes forget that the simplest forms of communication are the ones that bring the most peace. A quiet room, someone sitting nearby, an animal lying close, doing nothing, simply being there, and that alone is enough. A dog lying beside its owner, listening to the rhythm of breathing. A cat curled near warmth, a bird resting on a branch as night falls. These moments need no explanation, no complex meaning, yet they carry a deep sense of connection. When communication becomes gentle, it becomes most true. Perhaps that is why, as night arrives, humans often seek silence. Not because there is nothing left to say, but because the body begins to shift into another kind of communication. Breathing slows. The body relaxes. The mind lets go of unnecessary thoughts. This is when the body tells you it is time to rest. No words, no sound, just feeling. And just like the creatures outside communicating in soft, deep ways, you too are joining that rhythm. The rhythm of stillness, the rhythm of peace. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to keep your mind working. Just let things slow down. Like music fading, like waves moving farther away, like footsteps growing softer as night settles in. The world is still speaking to itself, but now it is speaking very quietly, and you can slowly let yourself drift into that silence. Part 5. Problem solving and tool use as night slowly falls and every sound softens. We can begin to think about intelligence in a very different way, not as numbers or tests, but as the ability to adapt, to find a path, and to learn how to live in a world that is always changing. For a long time, humans believed that using tools and solving problems were the clearest signs of intelligence, and that these made our species special. But when we observe nature with patience and gentleness, we begin to realize that intelligence exists everywhere in the quiet, simple actions of living creatures around us. A crow picks up a small stick to reach food hidden in a crack. An otter places a stone on its chest to break open shells. An octopus gathers pieces of shell to create a shelter. A chimpanzee chooses the right twig to gather honey. An elephant uses a branch to brush away insects. These actions are not loud or dramatic, yet they reveal something deep. Intelligence can appear wherever life needs to adapt. From Jung's perspective, intelligence is not only the ability to think, but also the ability to connect with the environment, with experience, and with deeper instincts. When an animal uses a tool, it is not only solving a problem, it is expressing an ancient form of understanding, a harmony between body, memory, and the world around it. Some species not only use tools, but also prepare for the future. Crows hide food to return to later. Some monkeys remember where they once found food and return to the same place days later. These actions are not just reflexes. They carry a sense of anticipation, a quiet imagining of tomorrow. And there is something very gentle about that in deep forests, in wide oceans, in places we rarely see, there are creatures quietly learning from experience. They remember what once worked. They avoid what once brought danger. They adjust their behavior over time like a slow current of growth. Intelligence, then, does not always come from a large brain. It comes from adaptation, from listening to the environment, from trial and error, and trying again. An octopus with its soft body can open a jar. A small bird can learn to shape a twig into a perfect tool. A fish can use a rock to break open a shell. These creatures are not like humans, but they understand the world in their own way. Jung once said that some forms of understanding do not live in words, but in action. And when we look at the animal world, we begin to see this more clearly. An action repeated and slowly refined over time becomes knowledge, a quiet wisdom built through many attempts. Perhaps that is why watching these creatures brings a gentle sense of closeness, not because they are like us, but because we begin to realize that all life is learning, all life is adapting, all life is trying to understand the world in its own way. An elephant remembers the path to water in the dry season. A crow remembers the person who once fed it. A chimpanzee remembers how to open a hard fruit. These memories are not written in books, but they are stored deeply in body and behavior. And perhaps in some way humans are the same. We learn from experience. We adjust over time. We become wiser not only through thought, but through what we have lived through. In the quiet space of evening, thinking about this can bring a soft peace. Intelligence is not a race. It is a slow process, a gentle adaptation, a deep listening to the world around us. A bird learns to build a better nest with each season. An animal learns to hunt more skillfully with each attempt. A creature learns to survive through changing conditions year by year. These are small stories of growth, and in that growth there is no pressure, no rush, only time and repetition. Like your breath now slowly calming, like your body learning to relax. There is no need to try too hard. Just let things happen naturally. In the natural world, intelligence is not something separate. It is part of life. It appears in how an animal finds its way, cares for its young, chooses shelter, remembers what matters. It is simple, but very deep. And thinking about this can bring a gentle sense of connection with the living world. That somewhere out there, millions of creatures are quietly solving their own small problems, learning, adapting, existing, without needing praise, without needing to be seen, just life continuing. You are the same. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to let go. Like a creature finding a safe place to pause after a long day, let this quiet become a gentle shelter. Let complicated thoughts fade. Like an octopus relaxing in deep water, like a bird folding its wings as night falls. Everything is slowing, and you can slowly drift into that peaceful rhythm. And if we keep observing a little longer, we may notice that intelligence in nature never appears loudly. It arrives slowly, quietly, like water finding its path through small cracks in stone. No rush, no need for perfection from the beginning, only patience, repetition, learning, and slowly becoming more suited to the world. A crow may try many times before learning how to use a twig to pull food closer. A chimpanzee may watch for a long time before learning how to use an object to open a fruit. An octopus may try different ways before figuring out how to open a shell. These moments seem simple, yet within them is a deep process of learning. And perhaps what makes these actions special is not the tool itself, but patience. The patience to try, the patience to fail, and the patience to try again. From Jung's perspective, humans grow in the same way. We do not change in a single moment. We learn through experience, through what has happened, through what did not work. And little by little we adapt. Little by little we understand the world and ourselves more clearly. When we look at animals, we can see a reflection of ourselves in their process. Not in their form, but in their journey. The journey of learning, the journey of adapting, the journey of becoming more at home in life. An old elephant remembers paths through the forest because memory has built over years. A bird chooses the right materials for a nest, not from books, but from instinct and experience guiding it. These forms of intelligence do not need words. They do not need explanation. Yet they exist, grow, and allow life to continue. And in the stillness of evening, thinking about this may bring a gentle feeling. You do not have to know everything. You do not have to always be right. Growth comes with time, with repetition, with allowing yourself to learn little by little, like your body now. It is slowly learning to relax. Your breath grows deeper. Your heart beats slower. Your shoulders, neck, and back begin to soften. You do not have to try. Your body already knows how to return to rest, like a creature finding shelter when night arrives. In nature, when darkness comes, everything slows in the same way. Daytime creatures find places to rest. Nighttime creatures begin moving gently. The whole world lowers its rhythm, and you are inside that rhythm. There is nothing more to think about, nothing more to solve. Just being here in the quiet, like a creature resting after a long day of learning and adapting. A very natural state, very safe, very slow. Part 6. Learning, teaching, and animal culture as night falls and movement around us slows. This is a gentle time to reflect on something very deep and familiar. How life learns, and how it passes on what it has learned. For a long time, humans believed that culture belonged only to us. Stories told, habits, preserved skills passed from one generation to the next. But when we observe nature slowly and patiently, we begin to realize that many animals also carry their own forms of culture, subtle and unique, shaped over time and shared in quiet ways. A young chimpanzee sits watching its mother use a stick to gather termites. It watches for a long time, then tries to copy. At first, it may not succeed, but over days and weeks, the action becomes familiar. A young dolphin swims beside its mother, learning to hunt through repeated movement. A young bird listens to the songs of its flock, then begins to form its own. A baby elephant follows the herd, remembering the path to water, learning to recognize danger. These things are not taught with words. They are passed through presence, through being close, through watching and imitating. And little by little, shared knowledge forms within each community. Each group may have its own customs. A group of whales in one region may sing differently from another. One group of chimpanzees may use a hunting method, another does not. A flock of birds may build nests in a distinct way. These differences are not only instinct, they are learned, shaped, and passed down over generations. From Jung's perspective, humans carry collective memories, images, feelings, patterns that existed long before we were born. And when we look at animals, we can sense something similar. A silent flow of memory moving through generations, steady and enduring. An old elephant remembers paths it has known since youth. When drought comes, it leads the herd to water. The young follow not only because they trust, but because they are learning. Learning by walking together, learning by remembering. And one day, they will become the leaders. This is a very gentle form of teaching. No blackboards, no lectures, only time and closeness. In deep forests, chimpanzees watch one another. They learn how to open hard fruit, find food, and interact. An action repeated enough becomes a shared habit, and over time that habit becomes part of identity. Identity is not only human. It can exist in flocks of birds, schools of fish, herds of animals. A unique sound, a special way of moving, a way of living passed on. These things create a deep sense of belonging, and perhaps what makes these images touching is not that they resemble human life, but that they remind us life is always trying to connect, always trying to keep what matters, always trying to pass on what has helped it survive. A bird teaches its young to fly. A dolphin teaches its young to hunt. An elephant teaches its young to remember. Each small action is a gift being passed on. And as you think about this in the quiet evening, you may feel a gentle warmth. The world is woven from countless such connections. Quiet, unseen, yet enduring. You can imagine a group of whales moving slowly through the dark ocean. A calf swimming close to its mother, listening to deep sounds carried through water. Those sounds are not only calls, they are memory, a map, a story of a whole community carried in sound. Somewhere in the forest, a young bird is learning to sing. It repeats what it has heard from older birds. At first uncertain, but slowly its voice becomes clearer, and one day it will join the shared harmony. Everything happens slowly, naturally, without rush. Jung once said that the deepest parts of the human mind often come not from thinking, but from what has been passed down ancient layers of memory. And when we look at animals, we begin to feel that learning is not just an action, but a continuous current of life. A current flowing through time, through generations, through small, quiet actions. Right now, as you lie here listening, you too are part of that current. Your body carries what has been passed down for a very long time. The way you breathe, the way you rest, the way you seek quiet. Everything is learned and passed on, like a herd of elephants moving slowly across the plains in moonlight, like birds flying together through the night sky, like waves following one another across the sea. Life does not stand still. It moves through generations, carrying memory habits and the things that helped it survive. And now, in this stillness, you can allow yourself to become a little lighter. No need to think too much. No need to hold on. Just relax, like a creature learning to rest as night falls, slowly, gently, safely. And if we listen a little deeper still, we may notice that learning in the animal world is not only for survival, but for maintaining connection across generations. A small action repeated over time becomes part of shared identity. A hunting habit, a familiar path, a sound used to call one another at night, all become invisible threads, weaving a community. In the soft light of evening, a herd of elephants may stand close together quietly, as if remembering paths once taken. The young may not fully understand those journeys, but they feel peace near the elders. And day by day, those memories settle into them. There are no clear instructions, only presence, only time, only being together long enough for everything to become familiar. Somewhere in the ocean, a young whale is learning to listen to deep sounds from the group. Those melodies may have existed for years, changing slowly, passed down through generations. No one knows exactly what they mean, yet they carry a sense of belonging. The feeling that each individual is part of something larger. And perhaps that feeling is the deepest gift of learning. Not just knowledge, but connection. A young bird learning to fly does not do so only to find food. It flies with the flock. It learns to keep distance, to adjust its wings to stay together. Over time, its movement blends with the whole, like joining a shared rhythm. Jung once said that humans always seek to belong to something greater than themselves. And when we observe animals, we see that this feeling is not only human. It can be seen in birds flying together, in herds moving across fields, in groups living side by side their entire lives. They do not need to say they belong. They simply stay together. And perhaps in the quiet of evening, as everything slows, you can feel this too. A soft, deep sense that you are not separate from the living world, that you are part of a current continuing through time. Your breathing is slowing. Your body is softening, like an animal finding a safe place to rest beside familiar companions. No need to be alert. No need to try. Just be there. Learning in nature is quiet. It happens over long days, through small, repeated actions, through closeness. And in that slowness, there is a deep sense of stability. Nothing needs to be rushed. Nothing needs to be finished right now. Just allow yourself to drift gently in that peaceful feeling, like birds sleeping on branches as night falls, like the ocean resting in darkness. Everything continues very slowly, very gently, and you can rest within that rhythm. Part 7. Emotions. Joy, empathy, and sadness. As night settles and the space around us grows quiet, this may be the gentlest moment to reflect on something very close, very deep emotion. For a long time, humans believed that joy, sadness, jealousy, and compassion belonged only to the inner world of people. But when we observe nature slowly, patiently, we begin to realize that emotion is not something separate. It flows through the living world, present in small, subtle actions that we sometimes overlook. Quiet experiments in research rooms have recorded very small, very high sounds that human ears can barely hear, sounds that mice make when they play, a kind of fragile laughter appearing when they feel safe and content. A dog may show signs of jealousy when its owner gives attention to another animal. A monkey may react strongly when it feels it is being treated unfairly. These expressions do not need complex explanations, yet they feel deeply familiar. Some emotions seem to move beyond the boundaries between species. An elephant stands beside an injured companion, gently touching it with its trunk as if offering comfort. Dolphins swim around a weaker individual, helping lift it to the surface to breathe. Some birds stand quietly around the place where a member has passed away, as if sharing a silent moment together. These images are not dramatic or loud, but they carry a deep sense of empathy. From Carl Jung's perspective, emotions are one of the most ancient parts of the mind. They existed before language, before conscious thought. They are deep, natural responses that connect living beings at a profound level. And when we look at the animal world, we begin to feel that these currents of emotion do not belong to humans alone. There are moments when sorrow appears very clearly. An elephant may return to the place where a member of its herd once fell, standing quietly for a long time. A dolphin may remain beside a weakened companion. Some primates hold one another, sitting close together in difficult moments. These actions require no words, yet they carry something deeply familiar: presence and silent sharing. Perhaps emotion is not something uniquely human. Perhaps it is a part of life itself, a kind of language without sound yet still understood, an invisible current that helps living beings recognize one another, care for one another, and stay close. And in the stillness of the evening, thinking about this may bring a gentle warmth, that this world is not shaped only by movement, by instinct, by natural laws. It is also woven from subtle feelings. A group of animals playing together is not only practicing but experiencing joy. A creature staying near another when it grows weak may not be only habit, but a deep form of attachment. These emotions do not need to be named. They only need to be felt. Jung believed that there is a deep layer of the mind shared by all humans, a place where ancient feelings still live. And when we look at the animal world, we begin to sense that this deep layer may be even wider than we thought. Perhaps it does not belong only to humans but to life itself. The joy of play, the worry of losing something familiar, the comfort of being near those we know. These feelings appear again and again, in many forms across many species. Not exactly the same, but very close. In this quiet space, as you lie here listening, you may also feel that familiarity. That emotion is something natural, that you do not need to understand everything. Simply feeling is enough. Your body is slowing. Thoughts are becoming lighter. The emotions of the day are softening like water after the wind has stopped. Out there, somewhere, other living beings are also resting. A bird tucking its head beneath its wing. A cat curled into a warm corner. A herd of elephants standing close together in the dark. Each creature carries its own world of feelings, yet all are slowly drifting into stillness. And so are you. There is no need to hold on to every thought. No need to analyze every feeling. Just let them pass gently, like clouds moving quietly across the night sky. The world is still breathing. Living beings are still feeling. And you are here safe, held within that gentle quiet. Let your breath slow a little more. Let your body grow heavier, softer, like a creature finding a safe place to rest after a long day. No need to hurry, no need to think further. Just feel the peace spreading very softly, very deeply. When we listen slowly, we notice that emotions in nature are not loud like the way humans often express them. They appear quietly, gently, like a small wave passing across a still lake. A dog lying beside its owner when they are sad. A cat gently pressing its head into a familiar hand. Birds huddling close when the air turns cold. These actions do not need to be named, yet they carry a feeling that is deeply familiar. From Jung's perspective, there is a deep, ancient layer of the mind where the most instinctive responses still live. In that place, empathy does not need to be learned. Attachment does not need to be explained. And sorrow does not need words to be understood. When we observe animals, it feels as though we are seeing that deep part of ourselves reflected back in another form, another rhythm of life. An elephant standing quietly beside the bones of a herd member, touching them gently with its trunk, as if remembering. A chimpanzee holding a young one when it is afraid. A mother bird spreading her wings to shelter her chicks from rain. These images are simple, yet they carry something ancient, feelings that existed long before humans gave them names. Perhaps that is why when we see an animal playing, we feel joy. When we see an animal hurt, our hearts soften. Because deep down, emotion does not have clear boundaries. It is simply part of life, moving through glances, small gestures, and silent moments. As night deepens, everything slows. Daytime activity fades. Sounds grow sparse. And somewhere in forests, fields, and deep oceans, creatures are entering their own rest. A dog sighs softly before falling asleep. Birds grow quiet on branches. A dolphin floats gently in dark water, its body relaxing with the rhythm of the waves. Each being carries the emotions of the day, then slowly lets them go as the body grows tired. Perhaps humans are not so different. You too have lived through a long day with thoughts, feelings, and small moments you may not even have named. And now, like all living beings, your body is moving towards stillness. Not through force, but through a natural rhythm. Imagine emotions like waves. During the day, they rise, move, and meet. But at night, they slow, soften, and fade into calm water. You do not need to hold on to anything. You do not need to analyze anything. Just let your body rest like a small part of the living world, breathing quietly with the night. Somewhere, an elephant stands beside its companion. A cat curls into warmth. A bird tucks its head under its wing. And you are in your own moment of rest. Feelings are settling. Breath is slowing. The body grows a little heavier, a little warmer. And in that quiet, you may sense something simple. You are not separate from this world. You are part of it. part of a current of feeling that existed long before humans appeared. Everything is softening, very slowly, very gently, and you can let yourself drift along with that calm feeling little by little until sleep comes naturally, just as night arrives each day without hurry, without noise, simply covering everything with gentle stillness. Part 8. Higher cognition, thinking, planning, and imagination. In the quiet of the night, as sounds fade and the body begins to slow, there is something special about thinking of the intelligence of the natural world. For a long time, humans believed that the ability to think about the future, to plan, to imagine what has not yet happened, was a gift belonging only to us. But as science observes more carefully, it discovers that deep in forests, high in the sky and beneath wide oceans, there are also minds quietly reflecting in their own ways. And when we listen to this story in a relaxed state, we begin to realize something. Gentle intelligence is not a light that burns only in humans, but a glow spread throughout life. Imagine a crow standing on a branch in the cold morning. It does not live only in the present moment. It hides food in many places, remembers each location, and returns when needed. A jay does something similar, but even more carefully. When it sees another bird watching, it pretends to hide food in one place, then quietly moves it later when no one is looking. This is not just instinct. It shows a kind of thinking about the future, about what might happen, and about protecting what matters. Beneath deep water, a cuttlefish moves slowly among coral reefs. Its soft body can change color and shape, reacting quickly to its surroundings. But what amazes scientists even more is how it learns, remembers, and solves problems. Some experiments show that cuttlefish can remember paths through mazes, distinguish shapes, and find ways to reach rewards using different methods. In that quiet world, there seems to be a current of thought, moving gently. From Jung's perspective, the mind is not only a place for conscious thoughts. He believed there are deeper layers where ancient abilities have existed for a long time in the history of evolution. When we see animals planning, remembering, and adapting, it feels like we are seeing very old pieces of the human mind reflected in nature. Some animals can understand quantity in simple but meaningful ways. They know when there is more, when there is less, and sometimes even recognize absence, a kind of understanding of nothing. This may sound small, but it is a great step in awareness. Because to understand absence, one must imagine what should be there. Some species can delay rewards. Instead of choosing a small food right away, they wait for a larger reward later. That waiting moment is quiet but deeply meaningful. It shows an understanding of time, a feeling that the present is not everything, and the future has its own value. This reminds us of humans when we save, plan, or give up something small to gain something greater later. These behaviors seem complex, but perhaps their roots have existed for a long time in simpler forms of life, where patience and waiting became ways to survive. As we observe these things, we begin to see that abstract thinking did not appear suddenly. It has flowed slowly over millions of years through different brains in different forms, and each time it appears, it helps life adapt more gently to the world. In the stillness of night, this thought brings a soft feeling that humans do not stand completely apart. That imagination, planning, and thinking about the future may be part of a much longer story, one that began long before language or memory as we know it. Jung once said that deep in the mind, humans carry ancient images, patterns that have existed through generations. When we see animals showing signs of thinking, predicting, and choosing, it can feel like touching a deep part of ourselves. A part without words or clear shape, yet still present. Imagine a crow quietly storing food for winter, a small bird choosing a safe branch for its nest, a cuttlefish observing before it moves. All these actions happen in silence, yet inside them are decisions, choices, simple and steady thoughts. Nature does not display its intelligence loudly. It does not need to prove anything. It simply works quietly like a river flowing through time, carrying abilities built over millions of years. And as you listen while your body relaxes, you may feel a gentle connection. that somewhere in distant forests or deep waters there are other minds experiencing the world in their own way. They do not need to be like humans. They do not need to think in words. They simply exist, observe, and learn. This thought can bring peace, a feeling that intelligence is not a competition but a part of life. It appears in many places, in many forms, and each form has its own beauty. As night grows deeper, let these images drift softly through your mind. A crow preparing for tomorrow, a bird choosing a safe place for its home, a cuttlefish quietly watching the world around it, all living in the flow of time, all carrying their own form of thought, awareness, and intelligence. And so are you. You are here in this moment, with thoughts slowing, plans fading, imagination growing quiet. No need to think further. No need to predict anything. Just rest. Let the mind drift like a leaf on water. Sometimes peace does not come from thinking more, but from allowing thoughts to rest. And in that quiet you may feel something gentle. The world is still moving. Other minds still exist. And you can set everything down for now, letting body and mind slowly fall into sleep softly and safely. And as we keep listening, we notice that intelligence in nature does not always appear loudly. It shows itself in small moments. A bird hiding food in many places, then returning days later. A squirrel remembering hundreds of buried nuts across a wide forest. These quiet actions carry invisible maps of memory and prediction. Some birds observe others and change their strategy. If they feel watched while hiding food, they return later to move it somewhere safer. This is not just reaction. It is a simple thought about what others might see, might take, might change in the future, a gentle awareness of other minds. Thinking of this in the stillness of night, we feel something deep. The world is not empty or unaware. It is full of attention, small memories, and silent decisions happening everywhere. Jung said that deep within humans carry ancient patterns that existed long before birth. When we see animals planning, waiting, choosing, it feels like we are seeing a very old part of ourselves, from a time when life was simple, and remembering waiting and choosing meant survival. Perhaps this is why observing nature feels peaceful. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything moves in a slow, steady rhythm. No hurry, no tension, just a long chain of small actions over time. A bird waiting for the right season to find a mate, an animal storing food for winter, a creature watching before leaving shelter. Each carries a simple understanding of tomorrow, and that reminds us that thinking about the future does not have to be heavy. Sometimes it is only a gentle feeling that tomorrow will come, that some things need preparing, and once enough is done, the body can rest. Right now, as you listen, your mind may be slowing. Plans and worries about tomorrow may still be there, but they do not need to be clear anymore. You can let them drift like clouds. In nature, preparation happens slowly. Nothing needs to be perfect right away. Everything forms through time, through small steps. The image of a bird quietly hiding seeds, a crow carefully watching, a small creature patiently waiting, all bring a gentle calm, a sense that the world is built from patience, and you are part of that flow. You do not need to think anymore. No need to plan now. No need to imagine further. Just let everything settle. Let your body grow heavier. Let your breath slow. As these images of quiet minds in nature fade, you may feel yourself entering a calmer space, a place with no decisions, no predictions, no tomorrow to think about. Only rest, only gentle darkness, and a soft feeling of safety, as if you are surrounded by a world that continues to live, to think, to exist, while you slowly let go, drift, and allow sleep to come closer little by little. Part 9. Cooperation and complex societies. As the night grows quieter, we can begin to think of the animal world not just as separate individuals, but as living communities where each small being exists within a web of connection. In the soft light of imagination, we can picture a pack of wolves moving silently through a deep forest. each step aligned like a slow melody. No words, no clear commands, yet each one seems to understand its role. They do not hunt as loners, but as a group with a shared rhythm, trust, and an invisible communication that only those who belong can feel. For a long time, humans believed that society rules and cooperation belonged only to us. But science has revealed that many animals live in complex social structures, where individuals are bound together by memory, emotion, and mutual dependence. A herd of elephants moving slowly across the grassland is not simply a group heading in one direction. It is a family. Adults protect the young elders, lead the way, and the herd remembers familiar paths across years, even generations. Elsewhere, beneath deep water, dolphins swim in close groups. They cooperate when hunting, taking turns creating circles of bubbles to gather fish into one place, then sharing the catch. Sometimes when one is injured, the others support it to the surface to breathe. No one commands. No one forces. It happens naturally, as if caring is part of instinct. Looking at these images, we feel something deep. In nature, life rarely exists alone. Most creatures are part of a group, a herd, a flock, a community. And within these communities, invisible rules form over time. There is order, shared roles, relationships that last for years. A young wolf growing up in the pack learns to hunt from the adults. It learns to watch, to wait, to move in rhythm, and slowly it becomes an inseparable part of that group. This reminds us that intelligence does not live only in individuals, but in the coordination between them. Jung once said, "Humans carry an ancient longing to belong." When we watch animals living together, we see reflections of ourselves. Family bonds, community ties, familiar relationships, all existed long before humans appeared. In a wolf pack, some keep watch while others rest. In a troop of monkeys, some care for young that are not their own. In a group of dolphins, some stay behind so a weaker one is not left alone. These behaviors are not only survival strategies, they carry care, connection, and a sense of placing the group above the self. Thinking about this in the quiet night can bring gentle comfort, that this world, though vast and sometimes unfamiliar, is woven from countless soft connections. Creatures living together, depending on one another, moving through changing seasons side by side. Birds flying at night take turns leading to save energy. Fish swim in patterns to protect one another. Elephants form circles around the young when danger comes. All are expressions of collective intelligence, a shared understanding that life is stronger together. And deep within, humans may feel this too. The desire to be close, to share, to belong. As you listen, your mind may soften. The feeling that you must carry everything alone begins to fade. A gentle awareness arises: all living beings exist in connection. Right now, as you lie quietly, you may also belong to an invisible network. Family, friends, memories, relationships that have passed through your life, all like soft threads weaving a deep sense of safety. Images of elephants walking side by side under moonlight, wolves moving through the night, dolphins swimming together beneath the water, all bring a sense of peace. No hurry, no noise, just beings living beside one another in trust. As these images fade, your body may relax more. Breath slows, thoughts grow lighter. You do not need to do anything, no need to try. Just allow yourself to be surrounded by the feeling that somewhere in this vast world, all living beings are moving, living, and seeking peace in their own ways. And in this stillness you can rest, like a small part of a very large world quietly continuing, while you drift into sleep slowly and gently. And as we continue thinking about these communities, a soft warmth may grow. Cooperation is not only survival, it makes life more enduring. A single wolf may be strong, but a pack moving together becomes something whole, each one part of a greater rhythm. Sometimes an old wolf can no longer run fast. It is no longer the leader, yet it still walks with the pack, still accepted, still belonging. This image is quiet and deep. It reminds us that value is not only in strength, but in presence and memory. In elephant herds, older females are like living memory. They remember where water is in dry seasons, safe paths, past dangers. The herd follows those memories, as if one individual's memory becomes the mind of the group. This shows us that intelligence is not only in separate minds, sometimes it lives in connection, in how creatures move together, protect each other, share what they have. A group of dolphins hunting may form a perfect circle, each holding a place. If one moves, the circle changes. No one commands. Yet there is a gentle harmony, as if they are listening to one another in a deep way. Thinking about this, the rhythm of nature feels slower in the mind. No rush, no competition, just movements flowing together naturally. Jung said humans are not only individuals but part of something larger. Watching animals live together, we see an ancient reflection of ourselves, a desire to connect, to be close, to know we are not alone. Perhaps that is why memories of being near loved ones, or simply near a familiar creature, bring peace. Not because anything changes, but because of the feeling of being together, of belonging. Birds huddling close on a cold night, wolves resting near each other after a hunt, elephants standing in a circle around their young, all carry a softness, a sense of safety. And right now, in your own quiet space, you can imagine being surrounded by that peace. No need to do anything, no need to speak, just being there, resting. Your breath may be slowing, your body growing heavier. Daytime thoughts fading like faint sounds dissolving into darkness. Like animals in nature after a long day stopping. No more hunting, no more watchfulness. Just lying down, resting, and letting the body recover. And you can do the same. No need to think, no need to stay awake. Just drift with the feeling that the world continues gently. Communities still living quietly through the night. And you can slowly let go. Relax your shoulders. Relax your breath. Let sleep come closer, slowly, gently, as the natural world itself drifts into deep rest. Part 10. Creativity, play, and the joy of living as way. Night falls, and sounds grow quiet. We can begin to think of a gentle side of the animal world, one humans once rarely noticed. Not hunting, not survival, but moments of play, creativity, and simple joy. These behaviors are so soft we sometimes miss them, yet when we watch slowly we see their deep meaning. They show that intelligence in nature exists not only to survive, but to experience life. On winter days, crows stand on snowy hillsides. They do not only fly or search for food. They slide down slopes, then fly up and slide again. No clear purpose, no reward, just movement repeated like a game. It feels as if they are enjoying the moment itself. Beneath deep water, dolphins blow perfect rings of bubbles and swim through them. They push them, return, create new ones. Their movements are soft, graceful, almost like a dance. Watching them, we sense something like pure delight. Not survival, not need, just interaction with the world. Elsewhere, an octopus picks up a shell, turns it in its arms, drops it, picks it up again. It seems to explore, to experiment, like a child holding a toy. In these moments, we see that intelligence is not always serious. Sometimes it is simple curiosity. On land, gorillas play in the gentle afternoon light. They chase, pretend to argue, then make peace. No danger, no goal, just connection. These playful moments strengthen bonds and bring comfort. Birds sit near each other, singing in pairs. Their sounds blend like small music, not always to call mates or mark territory, sometimes simply to sing. Listening closely, we hear richness, repeating melodies, changing rhythms, pauses between notes. Jung said that deep within humans carry a primal soul, the part that can feel joy in small things. Watching animals play, we see that part again. A very old, very deep part that once lived in us. When an animal plays, it does not think of tomorrow. It does not calculate. It is fully present. And perhaps that presence creates a freedom we rarely feel in daily life. Dolphins leap from water, again and again. Dogs run in circles for no reason. Cats chase a leaf in the wind. These small acts hold something large, the ability to experience simple joy. In the quiet night, this thought may bring a soft lightness. Life is not only responsibility, not only goals, not only tasks. It is also small moments, movements without purpose, simple feelings we sometimes forget. A bird singing in the morning may simply be singing. A dolphin swimming in circles may simply be playing. And this shows that intelligence is not only problem-solving, it is also feeling, exploring, and enjoying. As your body relaxes, you may imagine these scenes slowly. A snowy hill with crows sliding, a deep ocean with rising bubble rings, a branch in soft wind with birds singing together. These images are quiet, unhurried, like clouds drifting. And as your mind follows them, your breath may slow. Daytime thoughts fade, worries soften. Only a simple feeling remains. Life is not only about existing, but about experiencing. Not only effort, but small, gentle moments. Like those creatures, you do not need to do anything now. No need to think. No need to finish anything. Just rest. Let your mind drift through these images of play. Let your body loosen little by little. As those imagined sounds grow distant, you may feel a deep peace spreading. A peace like when all creatures pause after a long day, when play ends, when everything grows quiet. And in that quiet, you can slowly fall asleep, carrying a warm feeling that somewhere in this vast world, life is still moving, still playing, still existing, softly, slowly in its gentle rhythm. And if we observe a little deeper, we see that play is not only joy, it helps animals learn to live together. A gorilla teasing another learns to control its strength. A puppy chasing its tail learns about its body. Two dolphins swimming side by side, making bubble rings, feel each other's presence in the wide ocean. These moments need no explanation. They simply happen. In Jung's psychology, primal joy is part of deep instinct, something that reconnects us with ourselves, with childhood, with feelings not bound by reason. Watching animals play, we may see that part of our own soul again, the part that once knew how to feel joy without reason. A cat can spend a long time playing with a small light on a wall. A bird can glide in the wind just to feel the air lifted. An otter floats on its back, turning a stone in its small hands as if it were precious. These images are slow, soft, quiet. As your mind follows them, a gentle calm spreads. As if the body remembers it does not always need tension. It does not always need to think. Somewhere in nature, joy still exists simply, without reason, without goal. Just small moments repeated day after day, season after season. And perhaps these moments help living beings stay balanced. They do not only survive, they live, they feel, they experience. Imagine a quiet afternoon light fading a group of birds moving from branch to branch, sometimes hopping, sometimes singing. Nothing special is happening. Yet the ordinary moment brings a deep sense of safety. Your body can learn from that rhythm. Learn to slow, learn to release. Learn to let thoughts pass without holding them, like an animal that after playing curls up and rests, not thinking of tomorrow, not remembering yesterday, just settling into quiet. As you listen in the dark, your mind may grow lighter. Images of the living world, slow movements, small sounds, simple play become a soft current. And in that current, you do not need to do anything. Just breathe slowly. Feel the warmth where you lie. Allow yourself to rest. Like the ocean at night, waves growing softer. Like the forest when wind stops everything becoming still. Life continues out there, but slowly, gently, and you can join that rhythm, drifting little by little into deeper calm, as body and mind slowly enter a peaceful rest. Part 11. The connection between humans and the living world. As we begin this part, allow yourself to relax a little, as if you are sitting quietly in a still space, observing the living world breathing around you. Throughout history, humans have often believed that we stand apart from other species. that intelligence, emotion, and understanding belong only to us. But when we look more closely with a gentle and unhurried gaze, we begin to see another story quietly unfolding. A story of connection, of deep relationships that have existed for a very long time between humans and the animal world. For thousands of years, humans have lived beside other species, not only living near them but living together. In some places, humans and animals have worked together like old companions. In certain coastal regions, dolphins once helped fishermen gather fish into their nets. Deep in forests, dogs moved alongside humans during hunts, not only because of instinct, but because of a bond nurtured over generations. There are stories of rescue dogs finding lost people beneath the snow of elephants, remembering the way back to old villages after many years of cats that seem to sense their owner's sadness and quietly come to lie nearby. These things are not just behaviors, they are signs of understanding. Carl Jung once said that humans carry within themselves deep layers of memory, memories that belong not only to the individual, but to the long journey of life itself. When we look at the connection between humans and animals, perhaps we are touching something very ancient within ourselves, a part that once lived very close to nature, that listened to the sounds of the forest, that watched the eyes of other die, creatures to understand their meaning. Some animals can understand human signals in subtle ways. A dog can sense anxiety simply through the way you breathe. A horse can feel tension through the hand that touches it. A cat may quietly come closer when you are sad, not because it understands words, but because it senses through a language that needs no sound. It seems that between humans and animals there exists a form of communication that is very soft, very deep, and very quiet. No words, no explanations, only presence. There are stories of animals that come to humans when they need help. A dolphin caught in a net swims close to a boat. An injured bird settles near where people are. A stray dog leads someone to a place where a person is in danger. In those moments, the boundary between human and animal becomes softer, as if both are sharing the same living space, existing within the same flowing current of life. Thinking about this in the stillness of night, a gentle feeling may appear, a sense that you are not alone, that around you there are always other minds, living, feeling, and observing the world in their own ways. Somewhere out there, a bird is sleeping in its nest. A cat is curled into a corner. A school of fish moves quietly through dark water. All of them are living in the same world as you, even though each species feels it in its own way. And sometimes just thinking of that is enough to slow the mind. Perhaps that is why people often feel more peaceful when they live near animals. A dog lying beside them, a cat sleeping on a chair, a bird singing by the window. All of it creates a familiar feeling, as if there is a shared rhythm quietly connecting all living beings. Jung believed that there are ancient symbols living within the human mind, images of forests, of animals, of primal connections. When we look into the eyes of an animal, sometimes we feel as though we are looking into something very deep, not because it is the same as us, but because it is different, and yet connected by an invisible thread. An elephant may stand for a long time beside the bones of a lost companion. A dog may wait for its owner to return for years. A horse may remember an old path, even after a long time has passed. Those memories, those feelings are not exactly the same as human ones, but they are close enough to remind us that intelligence and emotion do not belong to only one species. The boundary begins to soften. No longer them and us, only different beings all learning to live in the same world. As you lie there listening to these words, you may begin to feel a very gentle peace, a sense that you are part of a vast living network. No need to understand everything, no need to explain. Just feel, like an animal lying down after a long day, breathing quietly, resting quietly, not thinking about tomorrow, not remembering yesterday, simply being in the moment. You can do the same. Let your body relax a little more. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow. Out there, the living world continues to move very gently. Other creatures are sleeping, resting, dreaming in their own ways. And you are in that same rhythm, not separate, not alone. Just a small part of a living world where every mind, large or small, exists together in the gentle stillness of night. As we continue to think about this connection, a soft feeling may slowly spread through the mind, because the bond between humans and animals was not created in a single moment, but built over thousands of years of living near one another, observing one another, learning to understand without words. Imagine a quiet evening in a small home. A dog lies beside its owner's feet, not looking, not listening to every word, yet somehow sensing the person's state. When the owner is tired, it lies closer. When the owner is cheerful, it becomes lively. When the owner is sad, it grows quiet and stays there like a warm presence. No explanation, no reason, just a natural understanding. There are times when humans and animals seem to listen to the same breath. A hand gently strokes a horse's back, and the horse becomes calm. A cat closes its eyes when touched. A dog rests its head on a knee as if saying it is there. These moments are small but very deep. From Jung's perspective, such experiences may touch an ancient layer of the human soul, a place where the boundary between humans and nature was never clearly defined, a place where we were not observers standing outside but a part of the living world. Perhaps that is why many people feel peaceful near animals. Not because animals speak, not because they solve problems, but because their presence is simple, real, and asks for nothing. They do not need us to be perfect. They do not need explanations. They are simply there, and that presence is enough to slow the human mind. In nature, there are quiet stories. A dolphin gently pushing an exhausted swimmer toward shore. A dog barking repeatedly to call for help. A cat returning to an old place many years after leaving. These stories are not loud or dramatic, yet they carry a warmth that is difficult to name. As if there is always a kind of understanding between species. Not exactly the same, but enough to recognize one another. As you lie there listening in the quiet, you may begin to feel as though you are in the middle of a vast living world. Not only humans, but countless other beings, each with its own way of feeling. A bird sleeping on a branch, a cat curled in the dark, a school of fish moving quietly beneath deep water. All are resting, and so are you. You are in the same world, in the same night rhythm, in the same stillness. Your breath may be slowing a little. Your body may feel heavier. Daytime thoughts begin to drift away like faint sounds dissolving into space. Like an animal that finds a safe place to lie down. No longer alert, no longer tense, it simply rests. And you can do the same. No need to think further, no need to hold on to anything. Just feel that you are here, in a quiet space, surrounded by a living world breathing very slowly. A world where humans and animals are not completely separate, but exist together in a soft network of memory, emotion, and presence. And as that thought settles, the mind grows lighter, slower, softer, as if gently drifting towards sleep. Part 12. Intelligence. Everywhere in every form as you reach this part of the journey, the pace may slow a little more, as if standing in a wide and quiet space where every living being exists in its own way. We have passed through stories of memory, emotion, cooperation, and deeply human moments within the animal world. And now a gentle thought begins to appear. Intelligence does not exist in just one place, does not have just one shape, but is present everywhere, in many different forms. From small creatures like bees and ants to giants like whales, each species carries its own way of perceiving the world. Not all intelligence is like human intelligence. Not all understanding requires language. But somewhere in every being, there is a way to feel, to respond, to learn, and to adapt. A bee flying across a field is not only searching for flowers. It is remembering locations, remembering scents, remembering light. It returns to the hive and shares this information through a small, precise, patient dance. A tiny ant carries a piece of food many times larger than its body, and it is not alone. An entire colony moves together, builds together, exists together like a single body made of thousands of individuals. Here, intelligence does not lie within one individual. It lives within the community. A group of whales moves across the ocean, traveling along paths their ancestors followed long ago. Their songs echo through deep water passed from one generation to another. These sounds are not only signals, they are memory, they are maps, they are connection. Listening to stories like these, a gentle feeling may appear in the mind. A sense that intelligence is not one thing, not a single peak, but a current flowing throughout the living world. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a deep layer where humans share ancient images and memories. If we look at it this way, perhaps we are also part of a larger network, not only among humans, but between humans and all of life. A cat recognizing a familiar voice, a bird remembering where it once built its nest, a school of fish turning together as if guided by a shared sensation. These things do not need to be fully explained. They only need to be observed slowly. Sometimes intelligence appears as memory. An elephant remembering the way to water after many years. A crow hiding food and returning to the exact place. A dog recognizing its owner after a long absence. Sometimes intelligence appears as emotion. One animal comforting another. One waiting. One seeking safety when danger is near. Sometimes intelligence lives in the senses. A bat hearing sounds we cannot hear. A fish feeling the smallest vibrations in water. A bird navigating by the Earth's magnetic field. Each species has its own way of understanding the world. Different, yet enough to live. As you lie there in your quiet space, you may begin to imagine a very wide picture. A living network where countless minds exist together, not speaking in human ways, yet still observing, still learning, still responding. A bee searching for flowers in the late evening. A cat moving softly across the yard. A school of fish gliding through dark water. A bird sleeping with its head tucked beneath its wing. Each creature has its own inner world, its own way of feeling, its own rhythm. And so do you. You are also a mind existing within this network, not separate, not outside, but a part of life continuing to learn each day. This thought can bring a quiet peace, that there is no need to understand everything, no need to explain everything, just to realize that life is diverse, rich, and gentle in the way it exists. At night, everything slows. Ants stop moving, wings fold. Sea creatures swim more slowly in deep water. The living world lowers its rhythm, and you can do the same. Breathe a little slower. Relax your body a little more. Let thoughts settle. Like a lake, when the wind stops, its surface becomes smooth. No ripples, only deep stillness. In that stillness, you may feel something simple. You are surrounded by life, not in a loud way, but in a gentle way. A world where countless minds are resting. A network where every being, large or small, has its place. And in that network, you have a place too. No need to do anything more. No need to think further. Just be there. Let your body grow heavier. Let your breath become steady. Let your mind slow, as if you are drifting softly in a quiet space where life continues, but very slowly, very deeply, and very peacefully. And as we remain with this thought a little longer, you may begin to feel more clearly that intelligence does not exist only in large brains, not only in familiar creatures, but spreads everywhere in every small movement of life. A colony of bees leaves the hive each morning. No one commands, no one directs, yet each one knows what to do. A small ant finds food and leaves a scent trail, and the whole colony follows it, moving like a slow current. No single individual understands everything, yet the whole community moves like a unified mind. This is another form of awareness. Quiet, unshowy, but enduring. Elsewhere in deep oceans, schools of fish swim together, changing direction at the same moment as if an invisible signal passes through them. No words, no plans spoken, only a very quick, very light, very natural sensing. One fish turns, and the whole school turns. One speeds up, and the whole group moves. From a distance, it looks like a living wave. And if we think about this long enough, we may realize that intelligence does not always mean thinking in words. Sometimes it is the ability to move with the rhythm of the environment, to know when to move, when to stop, when to stay close. From Jung's perspective, humans also carry such deep rhythms within. Instinctive responses, feelings that need no explanation, moments when we know something without knowing why. Perhaps that is the most ancient part of the mind, the part that once lived close to nature, the part that once listened to wind water and the footsteps of other creatures. Thinking of the living world as a network of countless minds can make us feel lighter, because we are no longer standing alone in the world. We are within a vast current where every being is observing, learning, existing in its own way. A small bird learning to fly with each wing beat, a cat learning to hunt with each careful step, an elephant learning paths through the memory of its herd. Every creature is learning, and so are you, just in a different way. Right now, as you lie there, your body is resting and your mind is learning to let go, learning to slow down, learning to step away from the tensions of the day. Outside, the living world continues to move, but gently. A night insect passing by a light, a cat walking through a quiet alley, a bird shifting on a branch, all existing in the same space as you within the same slow and deep rhythm of night. And in this night rhythm, intelligence does not need to work hard. It can rest, like every other creature resting. Allow your body to grow a little heavier. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your breath to become steady. No need to think anymore. Just feel that you are part of this living world, a part of a vast network where countless minds exist, learn, and now slowly sink into the stillness of night. And as that thought settles, the mind softens, slower, gentler, as if you are being held by a deep, soft peace, very close to sleep. Part 13, ending a gentle feeling of connection before sleep. As we reach the end of this journey, everything may begin to slow naturally. No more new discoveries, no more questions to answer, only a quiet feeling, like the end of a long day as the sky grows a little darker. This is the moment when you no longer observe the living world with your mind alone, but begin to feel it with a deeper gentleness inside. Imagine that right now you are not alone in your room. Out there, life still exists, very softly, very slowly. Some creatures are resting, some are awake. Small and great minds all existing in the same space as you. Not in a loud or frightening way, but in a gentle one. A cat curled in a dark corner, a bird sleeping on a branch, a school of fish moving slowly beneath deep water. All living, breathing, present. You may begin to feel that you are not separate from that world. For a long time, humans have felt that thought and awareness were something private, something personal. But as we look back on this journey, we realize that intelligence and emotion do not belong to only one species. They spread everywhere. In the way an animal cares for its young, in the way a herd stays close to keep warm, in the way a creature finds its way home. Carl Jung said that beneath the surface of everyday awareness, there is a deeper layer where ancient images and primal feelings live. Perhaps as you lie quietly and listen to stories of the living world, you are touching that ancient part within yourself. The part that once knew how to live slowly, how to listen to nature, how to feel safe within a living community. And now in the quiet of night, you can allow yourself to feel that. A very soft sense that around you there are always other minds existing. No need to speak, no need to interact, just living in the same world. Nature, seen this way, is no longer far away. It becomes like a living network, where each being carries its own way of feeling. A bee passing through a garden, a cat crossing a rooftop, a bird shifting in sleep, all small parts of a larger system breathing together. And you are part of that breath. Notice your breathing gently. No need to change it, just feel it. The breath goes in, then out, slow, soft, like the breathing of the world outside. Trees are breathing. Earth is breathing. Creatures sleeping are breathing. Everything slows at night. No more hurry, no more tension, only rest. The rhythm of the story slows too, like a path leading you somewhere quiet. Nothing more to do, nothing more to understand. Just drifting with the gentle feeling of safety spreading through your body. Imagine the world now like a soft painting, a dark sky, cool air, sounds growing distant. Somewhere, perhaps a faint wind, a branch moving gently, a small creature moving slowly in the night, all alive but very quiet. You are lying here surrounded by that stillness. No need to stay alert, no need to think. Just let your body rest, like an animal finding a safe place to lie down. No tension, no watching, just breathing, slowly drifting into sleep. You can do the same. Relax your shoulders a little more. Soften your face. Let your hands and legs grow heavier. Daytime thoughts may still be somewhere, but they do not need to stay. They can pass like clouds across the night sky. And in this quiet space there is a gentle image the world is breathing. Not fast, not strong, just a slow, steady, deep breath. The forest is breathing. The sea is breathing. Sleeping animals are breathing. Folded wings are breathing. And you are breathing with all of them. Not separate, not alone. Just a small part of a vast living world resting, settling, sinking into the stillness of night. That feeling may grow warmer, safer, as if you are being held by the peace of the world around you. No need to try to sleep, no need to force sleep. Just lie there in the slow breathing of the night and let sleep come naturally, like water slowing until it becomes still, like a forest growing completely quiet after a long day. The world is still there, breathing, living, and you are resting within it. You may not realize it, but simply listening to gentle stories about the living world is already helping your mind slow down. As we imagine animals sleeping in the night, quiet forests, deep oceans where fish move slowly through dark water, the brain moves away from the tensions of the day. It returns to an older state, a very ancient one, when humans lived closer to nature, when night was a time to rest, to listen, and to feel safe. Carl Jung believed that deep within each person, there is an ancient part of the mind, a part that existed long before we learned to live as quickly as we do today. That part understands silence, understands darkness, understands the feeling of being protected in a safe space. And perhaps as you lie here listening, that ancient part is gently awakening, reminding you that rest is natural, that letting go is necessary, that you do not always need to control everything. Let your mind drift a little further. Imagine that somewhere out there, in a distant forest, animals are sleeping deeply. A deer lying beneath trees, birds sleeping on branches, heads tucked into wings, a cat curled in a warm corner. No one is trying to sleep. They simply relax, and sleep comes. You can do the same. No need to think too much about tomorrow. No need to remember today. Just feel your body becoming heavier, softer, slower. Each breath in brings calm. Each breath out carries away what tension remains. The world outside continues, but gently, slowly, softly. And you are allowed to pause here in your own small space, where there is no pressure, no hurry, nothing to prove, only rest, only safety, only a long night ahead deep enough for you to sink into and fully relax. And as sleep comes closer, remember that you are not alone. You are sleeping in the same world as millions of other beings. A world breathing slowly, settling gently, holding all life in the arms of night. If these gentle stories help you feel more peaceful, you can take a moment to support the Stories for Sleep channel by subscribing. That will help us continue bringing more soft journeys, more quiet stories, so that each night you have a place to return to listen, to relax, and to sleep well. And now close your eyes, relax your body, Let your breath slow. Let sleep come gently to you, wishing you a deep sleep, a warm sleep, and a peaceful night. And now, as we reach the final moments of tonight's journey, you may begin to notice a soft change in your body. You're breathing a little slower, your shoulders softer. Thoughts that were once loud now drifting away like small waves pulling back from the shore as the tide recedes. Throughout this journey, we have quietly stepped into the inner world of animals. A world without human words, yet full of subtle signals, long memories, silent emotions, and deep connections. We saw memory in the eyes of elephants, curiosity in the play of crows, attachment in the way dolphins call to one another across the ocean, and gentleness in the way one animal comforts another in sorrow. But perhaps what matters most is not that we understand them better. It is that we realize something peaceful. We are not separate from that living world. Carl Jung said that deep within every person, there exists an ancient layer of the mind, a shared memory we carry with all life. It is the part that feels comfort in the sound of rain, peace in the sight of trees, or a quiet smile when seeing a sleeping animal. That part does not need explanation. It simply knows that we belong here. Perhaps that is why listening to stories of the animal world at night calms the mind. Because deep inside, the body remembers that humans once lived this way too, following the rhythm of day and night, of seasons of light and dark. And night has always been a time for rest. Imagine for a moment. Somewhere in the forest, animals are curled beneath trees, eyes closed as the world grows still. Beneath the ocean, schools of fish move more slowly, drifting through deep waters. In the night sky, birds tuck their heads beneath their wings, resting after a long day. All life is lowering its rhythm, letting go, becoming quiet. And you are in that same rhythm. No need to try to sleep. No need to force thoughts away. Just lie still, listen to your breath, and let your body do what it has always known to rest. The stories you have heard are not only about animal intelligence or emotion. They are a gentle reminder that this world is vast, alive, and full of other minds existing beside us. And when we feel that, we often feel less alone, as if we are surrounded by an invisible network of life quietly breathing together in the night. Now, as you lie in the quiet darkness, you may feel your body growing heavier, arms and legs more relaxed, eyelids softer, thoughts drifting away like clouds crossing the night sky. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to solve. Today has ended, and tonight you are allowed to rest. Let your mind drift with gentle images, a sleeping forest, a calm shoreline, a star-filled sky. Somewhere the world continues, but slowly, softly, far away. And you are in a safe place where everything is gentle. If in these moments you feel a little more peaceful, a little slower, a little easier to breathe, that is what Stories for Sleep hopes to offer. Stories not to make you think more, but to help you rest. Not to keep you awake, but to soften you. Not to make you understand more, but to help you feel lighter before sleep. If you would like to continue these gentle journeys on future nights, you can subscribe to the Stories for Sleep channel. Each subscription is a small, warm way to help the channel continue creating slow, peaceful stories. Stories that can stay beside you at the end of the day when you need a place to pause. And now you do not need to listen to anything more. Just close your eyes. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out gently. Let all sounds drift away. Let your body sink into the bed. Let your mind move toward a quieter place, deeper, warmer, wishing you a very deep sleep. A very gentle sleep, and a peaceful night.